This is the plaintiff, David Koskoff. He says he hired the defendant's car service company to drive him and his wife to see a show in New York City, and the defendant never showed. He called and called, got no answer, and ended up missing the show due to the defendant's negligence. The defendant said she would reimburse him for the tickets, but she never did, and he's done fooling around with this slacker. He's suing her for the $2,500 he's entitled to. This is the defendant, Kathy. She says there was a mix-up dispatching the car, and the plaintiff was understandably upset. The plaintiff's been a customer for 10 years. She's never seen him behave in the irate manner he did that day, and he could have mitigated his damages by getting an Uber to the show. She returned the plaintiff's car service fee and certainly doesn't owe him $2,500 for tickets that cost him $99. She's accused of not being car-ful.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff hired a car to drive him and his wife to a show in New York City, and the limo was a no-show. So he wants the cost of the tickets to the show. But the defendant says he should have taken an Uber. It's the case of the show must go on.
Thank you, Douglas. David Koskoff?
Yes,
You
Your
are
Honor.
suing, the car service company represented here by its dispatcher, Kathy.
That's me.
Okay, and you have power of attorney to appear here by the owner?
I do.
Okay. You're suing them for $2,500, $99.30 in theater tickets that were wasted because they never came to pick you up, and $2,470 for disappointment, inconvenience, and anxiety.
More or less, Your Honor.
Okay, what happened?
Well, the short of it is, about the more or less, the $2,500 is a figure pulled right out of the air.
Yes, I know.
Your Honor is the conscience of the community, and whatever Your Honor sees fit to award, I gratefully accept. The short of this case...
I smell a lawyer.
Used to be, Your Honor. I'm 10 years retired. I haven't been in a courtroom since. The short of the case is, Your Honor, that I hired the car company to provide me transportation to the theater in New York City. They failed to show.
And what were you going to see?
Well, it was a show called Neurosis. Frankly, I don't think I would have liked it very much.
Well, I think it would have been right up my alley. So.
Well, the real reason we were going to see this show is a recent Yale grad that we had some contact with and some affection for was in the show, and he played the role of the character whose name was Neurosis.
Okay.
Brennan Caldwell was a student at Yale in the theater department, and we attend an awful lot of undergraduate theater. And we built much of our retirement around undergraduate theater at Yale. There are about 40 or 50 undergraduate productions a year at Yale.
Wow.
And we attend one every weekend pretty much.
Good.
Students in the theater department at Yale are likely to appear in 10 or 12 shows over the course of the years that they're at Yale, and we see many of them several times and many times, and we become attached to some and they to us because we're regulars and we're the only old people who regularly attend these shows. We stick out. These students graduate.
I love your retirement so much.
It's a wonderful
Hold on, I'm taking notes. Go on.
Anyway, these students graduate, they go to New York City, and they get jobs as waiters and waitresses. And sooner or later, they get cast in foolish plays like Neurosis, and they're held in...
I take it this was off Broadway?
Off
Broadway? Okay. So
anyway,
you hire this company to drive you to see Neurosis. You've dealt with this company a lot, right?
Yes, I've used them many times. I've always been satisfied with them. Their cars are clean, their drivers are courteous and competent, their price is reasonable.
And then they just didn't show up this day.
They failed to show up.
Okay.
And they were supposed to come at 11:45, and well, they were a few minutes late, so at 12 I called. But instead of getting the number for the car company, I got rolled over to a number that said, this is number, leave your name. So I didn't.
Who would that have been?
I don't know. Our main number rolls over to the secondary number, which that's the one that the owner answers.
The owner?
Yes.
And what happened? The owner didn't answer the phone?
What happened is that the phone was on vibrate, so it was a perfect storm. He was in church at the time. When he finally did get out of church, he realized that he had missed a call from Mr. Koskoff. He did return his calls and his voicemails. I guess it was like an hour later when he had returned the call. And
Okay, but what happened with dispatch that dispatch didn't send a car?
well, I was dispatching on that Friday. Lowell had given me the reservation. Lowell is the owner of the company. I had put him on schedule for that Sunday. I ran his credit card that afternoon on Friday. Unfortunately, Mr. Barnes, who is the owner, was also dispatching that weekend. And on that Sunday, he did not take a fresh schedule when he left on Friday. He took a dated schedule. So when he looked at Sunday's schedule, Mr. Koskoff's
And so he's unavailable
was
and
not
took the
on.
wrong schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, unfortunately, I know.
Okay.
I know.
So does this couple have a duty to minimize their damages by jumping in an Uber?
Question again, Sarah?
Do they have to get an Uber to minimize their damages and go to the show?
No, I think they should be compensated somehow for the limo not showing up.
For the show?
The show, yes.
Okay, what do you say to that?
I think if they made the show, they shouldn't be compensated for the tickets.
Well, they didn't make the show.
Oh, well, then they should be compensated because it's the...
They could have taken an Uber.
I think they should have been compensated.
Okay, going inside the court.
Mr. Koskoff originally wanted to be reimbursed for his theater tickets that were wasted.
Right. Mr. Barnes did try to offer to replace the theater ticket money, but I guess Mr. Koskoff was seriously angry, and it didn't work out, so they had hung up the phone. And I can agree, I understand him being upset, but it was an accident. He has used us for over 10 years. We have been a good company for him.
So what can you do for Mr. Koskoff?
We have offered...
Certainly you should be reimbursing his theater tickets.
Absolutely.
But you want to keep his business?
If he wants to use us, of course.
Would you consider using them again if, say, they were to sweeten the pot by perchance throwing in, I don't know, what do you think? A free ride or 2 free rides? I have no idea.
I'm sure something could be worked out.
Let's work it out right now. That's what I'm here for.
We can offer, I know he goes down to the airport. We can give him a round trip fare back and forth to the airport.
And the theater tickets.
And theater tickets.
How's that sound?
Are you looking for a counteroffer, Judge?
Just for the fun of it, what would be your counteroffer?
My counteroffer would be 2 free round trips to Manhattan.
To Manhattan?
We don't go to we're not flying so much anymore.
All right, so he says 2 round trips to Manhattan. What say you?
2 round trips? I suppose Lowell will go for that. That's fine.
I knew you would say yes. You still got it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck, folks.
Well, the plaintiff negotiates a deal with the defendant. Kathy, how are you? How do you feel about the outcome here?
It's fair. It's fair. I want him to be happy. It wasn't anything we did intentionally. It was an accident.
I think everybody understands that. What would 2 round-trip tickets from New Haven into Manhattan and back be, worth?
About $400.
Okay.
And we get to keep his service.
And hopefully, he'll keep you as a client.
Yes.
Okay? Very good. Thank you very much. All right, appreciate it. Mr. Koskoff, if you'll step out of here. I can't help but ask you, sometimes accidents happen.
I appreciate that.
Do you feel if you'll step back a little bit, please, that maybe you're going a little overboard, suing just for this?
Well, I expected to get a check for the $99, And if I had, I would have licked my wounds and called it a day. But when I didn't get the check, I started getting madder at Lowell than madder, and so I brought a small claims writ.
Okay.
I hope that the agent for the car service and I are on the same wavelength. One way to Manhattan is $175. So one round trip to Manhattan would be $350, and 2 round trips would be $7, not $4. This says to me maybe we have a misunderstanding. But if we do, we'll see you back at the People's Court.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Okay,
you.
hope you enjoy your free trips into Manhattan.
Thank you.
Okay.
Short and sweet, Doug. Everybody loves it when a judge can settle a case like this.